Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to lazy loading, where we will figure out all those situations that are best cases for implementing the lazy loading concept. From last session to till this session, we have discussed what is lazy loading. We discussed the method that we can utilize for lazy loading. Also, we compared the same. We discussed the syntaxes, right? But it is again very important to know about the best possible scenarios or best possible cases where we are supposed to implement the things. Okay, so here by the end of the session you will be able to understand when to use lazy loading, what are the best situation or best use cases for implementing the lazy loading concept. Okay, so one by one, like here you can see I have noted down all possible scenarios that that frequently utilized for implementing the lazy loading concept. Okay, so let's discuss all these things, but before we proceed I just want to let you know that in order I would recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for timing we are just mainly focusing on when to use lazy loading. But prior to that you should know what is lazy loading, what is load component, what is load children. So all these things should be as a prerequisites. Okay, all right, so now let's go one by one and see what all things we have here. So firstly I have noted down the heading, that is Angular 19 codes by Sharmit, which is the main and the primary heading for our session. Then we have noted down the question like when to use lazy loading, what are the best situations. Okay, so these are the thing. Now one by one we will go through all these things as a pointer. So first pointer is when a feature is not needed at the app startup. So this is a very important thing, like when you are sure that this is a feature which is not needed at the time of app startup, then in that case we can simply do the lazy loading for that particular feature. Okay, so here I have also put the description, like any part of the application that user do not use immediately, then you can simply apply the lazy loading to that particular component or feature. Okay, for example, admin panel, analytics and user profile. So just after the login you don't need analytics, you don't need user profile. If you think, although like it is again completely depend on the requirement, maybe in your requirement it is different, but usually we don't need admin panel, analytics and user profile at the beginning, at the initial state. That is why we are saying that if any part of the application that user do not see immediately, then in that case we can apply the lazy loading concept there. Okay, second point is when the feature is large or heavy. So if you think your feature that you have implemented, because we are going to deal with multiple features, right? So when the feature is large or heavy, then you can simply skip you can simply avoid using the lazy loading. You can use, when the feature is large or heavy, then you can use the lazy loading concept. Okay, so what are those situations? Like when pages with many components, charts, table or services. Okay, it reduces, because it reduces the main bundle size significantly. So if you want to reduce the main bundle size, then in that case also you can go with a lazy loading concept. Then we have third point, when a section has its own sub pages. What it means, suppose there is a particular section, for example dashboard, user, right? So in those situations, if dashboard has their own sub pages like dashboard, then it has home, then reports, then settings. So these are the sub pages. Okay, so when dashboard have home, reports, settings, user have profile, orders, wish list. So these are the all sections which has their own sub pages. So in these cases we can apply the lazy loading, and these are the perfect use cases for load children. So that is why, like I mentioned, that lazy loading like you should know about these methods, because we discussed in last session, right? What are these methods? So these are the situations like where it is perfect use cases. These are the perfect use cases for the load children. Okay, so I think this part is clear. Now let's talk about the next point, that is when only a small percentage of users use that feature. Now what are those conditions? Suppose you build an application. In that application you are sure that there is one feature which is applicable or which is useful for only 5 users. Okay, let's take an example. There you have built one application which will be utilized by 100 users, and out of those 100 users we are 110% sure that only 5% will use the feature A. Okay, feature A, we can give it another name, feature XYZ. Okay, so we are 110% sure that only 5 users will use feature XYZ. So in that case what we will do, we will simply lazy load that feature. Why? Because if we are sure that only very less number of percentage of user will use that feature, simply we can skip that. Not skip that, we can simply load that with a lazy loading concept. For example, admin pages. So we are sure that mostly the customer will use the application, right, as compared to admin. So in that case we can load the admin pages bit slower. But again I would say that it is completely depend on the requirement, and so don't think that I'm saying those you will change the things in your project. Decide as per your requirement, discuss with your client, and then decide like what to keep at. But these are the things where we are sure that yes, we are going to use it in that way only. Okay, so these are some common cases, that's why we are discussing it. Fine. So examples are admin pages where 1% users are using it, support pages, okay, advanced settings, because these are the all things that reduce unnecessary load for majority user. So if we are sure that 95 users are not going to use that, so in that case we can lazy load it so that it reduces the unnecessary load time for those 95 user. Okay, only 5 user will face for them only, like it will load bit slower, although it will come in the fraction of second, but yeah, it improves the system performance. Next point is when you want faster initial load for performance boost. Again, if you want to boost your performance, then in that case you can go with a lazy loading concept. So same thing here, it is mentioned that when you want faster initial load, so in that case you can go with a lazy loading concept. Okay, because lazy loading helps pages render quicker on slow internet. Okay, so yeah, if your customers are using it through slow internet, then in that case it will be loaded faster and render quicker. Okay, so this is very important, right, that lazy loading helps pages render quicker on slow internet. Then it is crucial for mobile users and SEO performance. Yes, okay, so if you think for SEO, yes, it is crucial for mobile users and SEO performance. Then the next thing is when the feature is optional. So if you think there are few features which is quite optional, like contact page, about page, privacy and policy, and terms and condition. We all know that these are the optional features, especially the terms and condition. We rarely go and check out, right? Although it is important, but we skip it. No worries. Okay, so here you can see all good cases, like these optional things are good cases for the load component. So we talked about both things, good cases for app component, load children, and good cases for load component. Okay, so if someone asks you in the interview, you can share these examples so that they can understand that yes, you know the concept. Okay, now the last pointer is for when you are building the large scalable applications like enterprise application, multi-role apps like admin, customer, sailor, then in that case it helps maintain a clean and modular architecture if you are using the lazy loading concept. Okay, so yeah, these are the all pointers, although I have noted down the pointers that when we are not supposed to use lazy loading, but that thing we will discuss in next session, so that things would be easy for you. Otherwise you will get confused if we discuss all these things together, because today also like we have discussed so many things in this session. So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.